Welcome to the IDP show. I'm your host, Josh Raymer, joined in the Sode Shack tonight. On my left, it's Bobby Reynolds. Bobo, how are you, man?
Hello, mate.
I love that everyone tries to do like the Adam impersonation. The energy just, it's there's less yelling. There's less drinking. There's, less good old country boy energy in the Sode Shack when Adam's not here.
Yeah, we miss it too. We miss it. We tried to drag him in here, but, old Pops has more important things tonight.
That's right. So Adam and Natalie welcomed their second baby into the world yesterday on Monday, May 16th. Welcome into the world, Shepherd, Markham. Very exciting. I think Addie's probably going to share some pictures maybe on Twitter. I don't know.
Maybe.
Pretty private guy. Maybe he'll just keep it to himself. But let me tell you, it's a good-looking baby, Bobo.
They probably play at 18 today if I know Adam.
I was going to say, I was like, get that baby to Park Mammoth as soon as you possibly can.
No kidding, man. I watched the Dude Perfect, the new parenting stereotypes video the other day. I recommend it to everybody out there. But there's the You're Not Going to Slow Me Down, Dad, where you just got the baby hanging in the little fancy sling, and he's playing 18 with his boys.
There you go. That's I watched the Dude Perfect all sports golf at the Masters.
Oh yeah,
that was incredible.
How in the world did they get on there?
I don't know. They had who was it? The guy DeChambeau.
Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah, Bryson DeChambeau. The wife even loved that. She was like, "This is so cool. Why don't?" There's like all these charity golf tournaments in Bowling Green. She's like, someone should do this.
Yeah.
I was like, I would play in an all sports golf tournament.
Yeah, man.
Like that would actually be a lot of fun.
Frisbees, soccer balls, tennis racket,
baseball bat. Yeah, like the little foxtail thing that they throw.
You use it, you lose it.
That's right. Use it and lose it.
Foxtail. It's been a hot minute since I've thrown a foxtail.
I don't think I've ever thrown a foxtail.
Really?
I feel like I'd be very bad. I feel like I'd throw it straight up in the air.
Josh, I feel like you'd be really talented.
You're right.
You worrying about the trajectory and the centripetal force. You know
Yes.
exactly where it's going.
I always remember that experiment in elementary school where you'd put water in the bucket and swing the bucket around. They teach you about centrifugal force, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know why it's still done. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But I remember that experiment.
My bucket broke. Soaked Miss Broig. Sorry, Miss Broig. Apologies.
Shout out. We know you listen. So thank you all for being here. We are happy to be back in the Sode Shack, wishing Adam and Natalie well on the birth of Shepherd. So tonight we have a great episode lined up for y'all. We are going to be talking a little who'd you get. We do not have Adam's yell, but we will do our best in his stead. We're going to talk about our rookie draft haul. We just had our rookie draft in the XFFL, and we've got some picks to talk about. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to take a little break. And on the other side, we are going to talk post-draft winners and losers from the AFC. So which IDPs had their stock negatively and positively affected by the NFL draft? Bobo, this is taking me back to our XFFL pod days. It's going to be fun, little duo pod.
You want to move back over to the wall?
I was going to say, the wall right there, I remember just freezing to death doing some of these episodes, like teeth chattering. I think we didn't even have a board at that point. That was early in our infancy as podcasters.
iPhone earbuds. Did some in the kitchen in there.
That's right.
With Clark barking.
I remember we were reminiscing about those days. I think we did an episode 3 times. And it didn't even record after the 3rd time.
Absolutely.
So I've never been just more dejected and furious than in that moment when I realized, we just did this for a 3rd time, and it didn't work.
And I missed a pretty important softball game.
Did you really?
I think that was that time, if I'm
that was
remembering
my
correctly.
strategy. I was trying to undercut your softball team.
I understood that. For the best.
Well, let's get right into it, Bobo. Rookie draft season is here, so it's time for another installment of Who'd You Get? That was awful. I apologize to everyone out there, but I have to host the show, so I can't go too off the rails with the Who'd You Get. So, Bobo, let's kick things off with Addie's picks here because Addie in absentia did have 3 picks in this draft. So let's touch on his, and then we'll give our draft hauls as well. So Adam had the 402, the 403, and the 410. This is a 5-round draft. He went Arnold Ebiketie, the defensive end for the Atlanta Falcons, at the 402. The 403, he went Jaquan Brisker, safety for the Chicago Bears. And then at the 410, Keaontay Ingram, running back for the Arizona Cardinals. So I found it really interesting. Bobby, that Addy just basically stacked these 3 picks right in the 4th round. I think he had some targets on his mind. Not surprising to see 2 of the best IDPs go off the board here to Addy.
Absolutely. You know, Ebiketie, I've seen in a lot of mocks and then some actual drafts in the 3rd round. And then I know a lot of people were pretty bummed when Jaquan Brisker came off the board at the 403. Adam knows what he's doing. You know, he's been here before. I do know that he wanted TDP, the running back there out of San Francisco that Nico so lovingly took in the late 3rd. So I'm sure Adam was a little bit bummed about that. But IDP wise, you gotta be in love with Jaquan Brisker. You know, outside of Kyle Hamilton, I know there's a little bit of Cine talk, but Brisker to me is probably my safety 2 out of this class. And to grab him at the 403 is pretty nice.
There has been a little bit of chatter, right, today. Kyle Bellyfuel putting it out there on Twitter with the Bengals safety there.
Yeah,
they took.
Jesse Bates.
Yeah, that is not going to sign his franchise tender. So that bumps up the safety they took. I think Dax Hill, right?
Hill, and then Von Bell's still there.
Von Bell's still there. So a little bit of buzz going with Dax Hill because of the Jesse Bates franchise tag situation. Yeah, Lewis Seen, Cameron Bynum, we think has been erased.
Yeah.
But we've been down this road before of thinking that established veteran players are instantly erased by high draft picks. I do think it'll be Lewis Seen, but we don't know. Jaquan Brisker, ain't nobody there.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about stepping right into an opportunity. I don't disagree that Jaquan Brisker probably has the second best. You may even say he has the best opportunity because even with Kyle Hamilton, we feel pretty confident that Chuck Clark is dust.
Oh, yeah.
But Chuck Clark's an established play caller for a veteran defense. So I love the Brisker pick. I think that could be one that we look back on, you know, at the end of even 2022 and we're say, Addy's did it again, Bobo.
Yeah. Jaquan, can you catch balls? How are you at wide receiver? We may need you there as well.
If we kill Justin Fields because we didn't give him an offensive line, can you play quarterback?
Oh, my gosh. What is Chicago doing? I know the Ballers talked about it. I think it was on today's episode. But, dear God, they brought in Tajay Sharp.
Tajay Sharp?
Tajay Sharp on a 1-year deal. They brought somebody else in, too, that was pretty
I thought
rough,
he was playing in the USFL.
So they're going to roll out Darnell Mooney. Shout out Lauren. I know you're still holding on to him. And then Byron Pringle.
Man, that's pretty brutal.
It is going to be rough.
I don't think
rough year for Fields.
You could do less to help out your rookie or second-year quarterback. So
Velus Jones, sorry, my apologies to Velus Jones.
How could we forget the 35-year-old Velus Jones?
But more importantly, Josh, hey, who'd you get here?
Who'd you get? So I was at the 203 originally. Now, here was the story of the 203. In this league, had Kwity Paye, defensive end. Randy Gregory, defensive end. Positional change. Randy Gregory goes linebacker. So suddenly...
You know what that reminds me of? The video of the boy who's like, Kwity Paye, dog. Randy Gregory, dog. He's talking about like his high school players or whatever that he plays with. You ever seen this video?
No, I have not. We'll have to share this.
It's basically
this.
Everybody that he plays with, dog. Just like
That's-
everybody. That's why I feel like you're talking about your team.
That's like Adam's favorite meme. He got that dog in him.
There you go.
Right?
That's it.
So we got a couple dogs. Unfortunately, Randy Gregory gets moved to linebacker. So suddenly I'm left essentially with Eric Armstead, who I ended up cutting after the draft, and Kwity Paye. So for all intents and purposes, I know going into this draft, I've got one defensive end. So I'm sitting there hoping that there is a possibility, a small sliver of a chance that Kayvon Thibodeau or Aiden Hutchinson makes it to me at the 203.
Yep.
I don't know if it's possible. Again, that's the 15th pick, the Bloom 100. That's where Aiden Hutchinson, right around where he was. So I'm just hoping and praying that he makes it to me. He does not. I'm sitting at the 203. John has the 202. We're on Zoom together. He goes, Josh, what would you think about trading back from the 203 to the 207, and I'll give you 312. And he said, based on how 201 goes.
Sure.
And he said, based on how
Let me
201
see this
goes,
first.
yes,
Yeah.
Depending on who is available at 202, I would be willing to make that trade. It works the way that John wants. He's sitting there. I said, okay, are you taking Devin Lloyd? He said, yes. So I said, all right, that left me essentially Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah.
I wanted to either get Hutchinson, Thibodeau, or Devin Lloyd. I would have settled for Hamilton, but I'm loaded at safety on this team. I've got Winfield Jr., I've got Javon Holland, I've got Marcus May, I've got Jonathan Abram.
Young guys.
I'm pretty good at safety. Now, I would have sat at 203 and taken Kyle Hamilton and been happy about it. But I took the trade. John goes Kyle Hamilton at 203. I go back to 207 and then take Alec Pierce, the wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. Feeling pretty good about that, especially since I've got Matt Ryan on the squad as well.
What's the early talk? Pierce at minicamp?
Been very impressive.
Has he?
Yes, I believe it was Stephen Holder, I believe, for The Athletic was tweeting that he thought Alec Pierce was having a really good rookie minicamp.
Wow.
So, this is stupid May early buzz, but you like positive buzz, right?
Hey.
We like positive instead of negative buzz, and Pierce has some good buzz early.
Dude, and I'm going to tell you, too, if you're talking about opportunity, Pierce is going to have opportunity. No T.Y. Hilton.
Zach Pascal's off that team.
Your tight end is gone.
Yep,
Jack Doyle retired.
Yep.
There's going to be opportunity, and I think Matt Ryan, shout out my tweet today. Carson
Did you
Wentz,
just shout out your own tweet?
I did shout out to my tweet. Carson, it's around the NFL. I've retweeted. They're like, this is going to be Carson Wentz's last time to prove that he's a starting quarterback. And I said, well, he's made $100 million trying to prove that he's a starting quarterback. Like, who freaking cares at that point? You've generational wealth there. But I do like your Alec Pierce pick. I actually called it when it got to that point. I thought, Josh is traded back. There's no way he's not going to get at least one Colt here at the 207. And I like it. Downfield burner. Matt Ryan's going to have opportunity to let the ball loose. You're going to have your Keenan Allen type possession guy there with Michael Pittman Jr. I think Pierce could really work out there.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not banking on it. This is sort of a luxury pick. I'm okay at wide receiver there, so Pierce kind of slots in as like my 4th or 5th wide receiver.
You mashed this next pick, though.
I did. This was one I was very excited about. I was talking to my co-manager, Kyle Bellyfuel, and we were going back and forth on a few guys, but in the end, we felt really good at the 312. We were very happy Jermaine Johnson was still there, defensive end for the New York Jets, so we go JJ the second at the 312, and then I'll just go ahead and roll these 5th-round picks in there as well. We doubled down on defensive end, again, because we only had Kwity Paye on the roster. Sam Williams, Cowboys defensive end. Nice little tweet today. The defensive coordinator down there, who is it? The guy, is it Dan Campbell?
Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn, that used to coach the Atlanta Falcons, said that he, I think, watched a practice or scouted Sam Williams and told Mike McCarthy, like, I'd love to coach that guy.
Wow.
So just some good early buzz for Sam Williams there. Has an opportunity, got Dante Fowler and some other scraps that he has to beat out for that defensive end spot opposite of DeMarcus Lawrence. So could be some good opportunity there. And then finally, Mr. Irrelevant, Brian Asamoah, linebacker for the Minnesota Vikings.
Great pick. 512, that's what you want. You want the Brian Asamoahs of the world. Honestly, I think that's probably too deep for him. I really like him earlier on in the draft. But let's have a quick discussion. You ready?
All right, let's do it.
So in Twitter world this week, the edge conversation has come up again.
Yes, it has.
And our favorite website, Reality Sports Online, has basically said, look, why don't we look at just giving the commissioners control over moving linebackers to defensive end? So let's just say this is implemented in our league. And let's just say the draft is continuing on and you've still got the 203. And you're getting to Walker there, the defensive end.
Trayvon Walker.
Linebacker, whatever you want to call him, out of Jacksonville. If he is a defensive end, do you hold that pick and take him there instead of trading back?
Probably not.
Okay.
I don't think – oh, man. Because I just feel like Trayvon Walker, however he's listed, is going to be – probably a 2-year investment before you start to see fruit.
Okay.
So that's just not even with the first round number 1 overall pick draft capital. That's just a little too rich at the 203 for me.
Yeah, I mean, like Adams talked about in the last couple of
I'm thinking about it.
He's a project.
Yes. And even the tweet I saw today that I think was supposed to be encouraging was Trayvon Walker saying, yeah, I'm just really, talking about playing that outside linebacker role for Jacksonville, I'm really just starting to dig in and learn this position. I'm like, ooh,
man,
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to take that at the 203 of my rookie drafts. And I'll say that because, again, sitting there at the 203, I would have gone Kyle Hamilton.
I got you.
Even if Trayvon Walker was listed as a DN, there's no way I'm taking him there.
I watched some Kyle Hamilton tape again today, and old dude is 6'4", like 220. Does not move like your prototypical safety there. So give a little credit to our boy Jon Macri, who's now rolling out Kyle Hamilton and Derwin James. Not too happy about that.
Could have the safety 1 and safety 2.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
For Dynasty.
There's a world where Hamilton is just a freaking baller.
There's a world in
Baltimore.
which he's the best IDP to come out of this draft, this rookie class, and it's not even close.
Absolutely.
You know?
But I would love, I mean, as Adam continues to get back and the next couple of weeks, we will probably have more of these edge type discussions. But it's gonna bring about a lot of questions and a lot of intrigue as far as value for these defensive ends and linebackers and what are you doing here from here on out. It's going to be interesting. But my favorite pick there is Jermaine Johnson. That's a 312. That's way too deep for him, especially being a D end in RSO.
I was surprised. I got shout out Football Guys. I've been reading their daily email newsletter. Great stuff. Go sign up. It's free.
Love you, Sig.
Yeah, if you haven't checked out Football Guys, go check it out. But they rolled out their draft big board, which is really cool. It's this awesome matrix of rounds and positions. So you can see which guys should go in which round by position, right? So like should there be any defensive ends that go off the board in round 1 or round 2 or round 3? So it's really helpful tool. And they had John Norton, IDP legend, doing the defensive side of this. He had Jermaine Johnson ahead of Aiden Hutchinson.
Let's go.
As his top defensive end.
Let's go.
I was thrilled about that.
Yeah.
I think he's stepping into a nice opportunity. But let's get to your picks, Bobo.
Yeah. So enough IDP talk. Let's get to the offensive side of the ball. So at the 107, I took Treylon Burks, wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans. Didn't think in any world Treylon Burks was going to be there at 107. I thought I was going to have my pick of Jameson Williams, Chris Olave, or Christian Watson, just based off of pretty standard ADP. 306, I took Trey McBride, tight end there for the Arizona Cardinals.
I swear that's right around the place that we talked up Addy getting them in that mock draft.
I think you're right.
Third round, though, middle of the third round for the tight end 1 from this class.
Yeah.
We're not a tight end premium league, but that's still a crazy value.
I feel like that was too far. I mean, I did get sniped on this one, and in another round of who'd you get, we'll talk about a trade I did today. I traded Jeremy Chin away for David Bell and for Von Bell. I'm pretty sure I'm happy about it because I really wanted David Bell at the 306. He actually went at the 305. So Trey McBride was a nice little consolation prize. A pretty unpopular trade, I feel like, through a bunch of league mates. I actually moved Jordan Brooks in the draft for the 408, the 409, and a third next year, which is not near enough. Hear me say that. That's not enough for Jordan Brooks, who was the LB3 last year. But a couple things. Jordan Brooks' PFF coverage grade last year was garb. Pretty terrible. I am going to be interested to see what life looks like with no Bobby Wagner in Seattle. He's liable to get some muddy stats, but I don't know. He just seemed like maybe a good sell right now. The other thing was I was not leaving this draft without Kyren Williams. So knowing that I only had one pick in the 4th, I had to get back in and get a little bit of value back. So I took Tyler Allgeier, the running back for the Atlanta Falcons there at 404. I traded the 408, the 409, and then a 2023 third for Jordan Brooks and took Kyren Williams, running back for the Los Angeles Rams, and then Jerome Ford, their running back for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I was going to say, you had 404, right?
Yes.
And that was your only pick.
Correct.
For the rest of the draft.
Yep.
So you move Jordan Brooks for 408, 409, and a 2023 third.
And I didn't, yes, correct. And I didn't want to take Kyren Williams first because there was an opportunity for Tyler Allgeier to be gone before I got back to the 408. So I thought, I think Kyren's going to hang around. Let me just go ahead and take Allgeier and trade Brooks and then come back in and grab Kyren Williams and Jerome Ford. And, I love Addy, but he's taught me the value of grabbing some of these running backs in the, later rounds. Antonio Gibson paid out for me a couple years ago. Elijah Mitchell paid for me last year. So maybe one of these guys pans out. The running back is just becoming a a muddier situation as the NFL progresses?
That was my question when this trade went down, because it was a shocking trade. And so I was curious. We were on Zoom with John and another guy in our league, and I just said, this is – and then when you took Kyren Williams, I said, this had to have been for Kyren Williams.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you made a trade that you admitted did not get back maybe the value you would want in an ideal world.
Yep.
So why? Like, what was the impetus? And it sounds like this was a Kyren Williams-driven move.
It was kind of Kyren Williams, but it was also more Tyler Allgeier. I had Allgeier ranked as about a mid-second. I thought he should have gone off the board right around where Alec Pierce went. I think he's going to have opportunity. It's just him and Cordero Patterson. As we know, they let Mike Davis go. There's a world where Allgeier has a 50-50 split in Atlanta, and maybe he pans out, maybe he doesn't. But in my mind, I'm seeing, okay, if I'm grabbing Allgeier here, and this is kind of what I'm getting for Jordan Brooks, it's like I'm getting a second round value. Who cares where you're grabbing these guys in the actual draft? On paper, sure, it makes it look like I lost, and maybe I did. Jordan Brooks is an elite IDP. But, hey, old Bob will take a shot from time to time.
Well, and you've rolled the dice here on two potential starting running backs for two pretty good offenses.
Yeah.
At least Los Angeles Rams. The Falcons, not the best offense in the world on paper, but that role for Cordero Patterson was pretty profitable last year.
He was a running back top 10 probably, wasn't he?
Already getting rumors and buzz that they may move Cordero Patterson out to wide receiver, which would make sense since that team is totally devoid of wide receiving talent outside of Drake London. And I think they're going to mix in Kyle Pitts a little bit. But it would make sense to me to see Cordero Patterson move out into that kind of wide receiver role a little more in 2022. So you have Tyler Allgeier standing there as a possible starter if that does happen. Kyren Williams, I want to hear your Cam Akers temperature here in just a sec, because I feel like that ties into this equation.
Yeah.
And Jerome Ford is never going to beat out Nick Chubb.
Sure.
But there's been rumblings and rumors. Could Kareem Hunt be on the move? Is D'Ernest Johnson now expendable? But even if Kareem Hunt is there, you need to probably get D'Ernest Johnson out of the way. But we've seen what can happen with D'Ernest Johnson if Jerome Ford were to assume that role. That's not a bad dart to throw at the 409.
I'll say this. The Baltimore Ravens running back situation in 2021 taught me a lot about dynasty running backs. You start off the year pegging J.K. Dobbins as a top 10, running back for the year. Dobbins goes down. Okay, next up, Gus Edwards. Okay, Gus Edwards goes down. All right, next up, it's Chaisson Williams. He runs for a week or two. All right, next up is then Latavius Murray. Let's bring him in. Okay, he's not panning out. All right, let's bring in Devonta Freeman.
Jeez.
Run him for a little while. They've recently brought in Duke Johnson. Maybe that's wrong. I know they brought somebody else in here lately. But anyways, what I'm getting at is depth charts as far as running backs are concerned in Dynasty, at least in our league, are super important to me. Because like you're saying here, Josh, my Cam Akers temperature is very cold right now. If everybody else in redraft or in Dynasty wants to take him like he's a top 15 pick, hey, by all means, y'all have him. I'm as worried as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
That's pretty worried, Bobo. That's pretty worried. I will say, if we're just going based off the most recent information we had, Cam Akers looked really bad in the playoffs. Did he rush back too quickly from the Achilles? I don't know. I want to see, probably more than any running back, right? I want to see, what does Cam Akers look like come training camp? What are the reports like? Because, there's a world in which now with Sony Michel out the door.
Darrell Henderson is not in the way.
Yeah, like, is Kyren Williams next to ascend to the throne?
I mean, it's very possible. It's very possible. Let's give one real quick little shout-out to our league, since this is the throwback episode. Shout out the XFFL. Who had your favorite draft?
Oh, boy. I'd have to go back and look. I will say, I did love John's draft.
No, then we can't be John.
I gotta get, it's, you look at the guys he came away with, Devin Lloyd, Kyle Hamilton. I thought Sam had a really nice draft as well.
Nakobe Dean went over Devin Lloyd in this draft. So just so we're clear how John got Lloyd.
That's right. That's how Devin Lloyd ends up at the 202. That was the first IDP that I thought was going to go off the board was Devin Lloyd.
Wow. I kind of did too.
When I was saying over under 1.5 IDPs in the first round and take the under, the one that I thought was Devin Lloyd.
Wow. You didn't think Aiden in the first round.
I thought he was in the mix, but I think if you looked at like 100 rookie drafts, I think Devin Lloyd would be the IDP selected in the first round in more of those drafts than any other IDP. Aiden was definitely in the mix.
Yeah.
But, boy, people I think are looking at Devin Lloyd as that next Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
And if you capture that lightning in the bottle,
man,
boy, that's exciting.
And shout out to our boy Jon. I love Macri, but maybe he sold Parsons low. A first and a second. Is that enough for Micah Parsons? Or do you want 2 first? I probably want 2 first. I mean, this is a shade episode apparently for Macri. I'm giving him a rough go of it. I mean, it was fine. He did get a nice replacement for possibly the next Micah Parsons. I talked to Macri on the phone today, so he knows how I really feel. But then you're essentially saying, okay, well, I just replaced who I just traded away, and I added Jameson Williams. Anybody's going to do that every day.
Yeah, to give you all Jon's draft haul, he went Jameson Williams, Sky Moore, Devin Lloyd, Kyle Hamilton, Rashad White, Channing Tindall at the 4.05. Wow. That one made me sick. Wow. I absolutely loved that pick. And then he went Romeo Dubes, Dubes, Devontae Wyatt, who was the defensive tackle I actually really like in deep tackle required leagues. Jordan Davis, athletic freak.
Sure.
Can he do it? Maybe. But listening to guys like Tripp talk about what does Devontae Wyatt do well, he's gap clogger, taking on 2 blocks and keeping guys clean behind him. Devontae Wyatt's a penetrator. This is a guy that's going to get after the quarterback. So love that at the 5.03. And then he went Alex Wright, defensive end for Cleveland, who still has not re-signed Jadeveon Clowney and only has the long-haired wonder Chase Winovich there as competition alongside Myles Garrett.
Who got Jadeveon Clowney today in the XFFL.
That you did.
Your boy.
Do you think he goes back to Cleveland?
I think he does. Everything that I'm kind of seeing is just another one-year deal there for Cleveland. And I think it makes sense. Keep him there. He seems to be pretty happy with Myles Garrett. He had a great year, 9 sacks.
Probably his best year ever as a
Absolutely,
pro.
Especially from a sack perspective.
That's right.
Favorite draft, shout out Fantasy Guru Bros. Christian Watson as a 201 was pretty stupid. I really liked Christian Watson. There was a world where I think he could have maybe gone 107, 108 range. He actually came back and got Trayvon Walker at the 306 or 307, I believe. He got Kevin
307, yep.
He got Kevin Austin at the end of the draft, who his RAS is pretty insane.
And Jelani Woods.
He got Jelani Woods. I think he got one more player as well. Jelani Woods' RAS is also pretty stupid and should be fun there in Indy.
Yeah, it was Christian Watson at the 201, Trayvon Walker at the 307, who is listed as a linebacker, Jelani Woods at the 412, and then Kevin Austin Jr. at the 509. Yep, so those 4 guys.
I actually watched the last week. There's some type of weird Indianapolis Colts, like I guess it's their YouTube channel or whatever, and it was the draft room with the GM, coach,
probably. I
owner.
think that series with them is called With the Next Pick.
There you go.
Yep.
And they talk about how much they like Pierce, and they talk about how much they like Woods, and to watch the GM operate is. It's something
Ballard's
to behold.
Pretty masterful.
Absolutely.
Him and Ed Dodds are a nice 1-2 punch there in the Colts draft room. So that was another installment of Who'd You Get. I'm not going to do the scream again and embarrass myself.
I answered the question wrong, though. The winner was me, Josh.
Yeah, I had the best draft. What the hell are we talking about here? So don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. We're going to hear from our friends at RSO, The Athletic, and hear a little bit about the IDP Draft Kit. Make sure you check that out, folks. Launching June 1st, the IDPDraftKit.com, only $20. So you're going to hear a little bit about that as well. And when we come back, we are going to do IDP winners and losers from the AFC. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. All right, welcome back to the IDP show. Talking post-draft winners and losers for IDP from the AFC, Bobo. And, it is a fun time of year to reflect, to look at the landscape now and really start to take stock of where do our dynasty teams sit? Where do the NFL teams sit? Because they've just told us what they think of their teams, what they think of their coaching staffs, their outlook for the season, because you can't lie with your money.
Yep.
So how teams have acted in free agency and in the draft tells us what kind of team they think they are and what kind of team they want to be in 2022. So I think it's a good time to kind of zoom out and take this 20,000-foot view on the league. So these are always fun episodes to do, Bobo.
Absolutely. You know, leagues are starting to get a little bit more active. Trades are being made. People are making decisions about who they want to go get. Things are coming around again.
It is a good time to be a dynasty player. So today we are going to jump in, like I said, to the AFC, and we are starting with a linebacker in Buffalo, Bobo, that I think if you look at the arc of his career, you could say has been a loser compared to what we expected him to be for IDP fantasy football, which was an LB1. Hell, even a top 5 LB, and that is Tremaine Edmunds. 94% of snaps last year, 108 total tackles, but graded pretty poorly overall, 48.5, averaged only 10.8 points per game. Now, as Aaron notes here in the doc, this might raise some eyebrows. Tremaine Edmunds, a winner? But 2 months ago, a lot of people were sure that Buffalo was planning to draft a replacement for Edmunds. Now, that did not happen. Keep in mind, this is the Amari Cooper syndrome. Edmunds is still only 24 years old.
That's true.
And now he gets one more shot on the fifth-year option to earn a future payday. Now, that's most likely going to be somewhere else, not in Buffalo. But at least for this season, we did not see Buffalo draft I would say a replacement that I think is going to threaten Tremaine Edmunds in 2022.
That's got to be the key, right? Contract year. That's a big word that we probably don't pay attention to enough. You know, you're running out of money. You're on your last year of your contract. If you don't perform well this year, you know, you could see yourself on a practice squad or you know, just kind of in a muddy depth chart somewhere. Tremaine Edmunds has been disappointing in terms of ADP. If you're looking at ADP, where he was drafted versus where he finished, he was a pretty disappointing linebacker for the first 4 years. Now, like you said, he will have his fifth year to try to earn himself a future payday. And I don't know. I'm not putting my chips in the Tremaine basket quite yet.
Not at this point. I think Tremaine has shown us what he is. I did want to bring up Terrell Bernard was third-round linebacker, so this is maybe the Tremaine Edmunds replacement, but it wasn't like they went out and spent a first-round pick grabbing a Quay Walker, and a Kobe Dean, Devin Lloyd type of guy that's like, all right, Tremaine Edmunds, they are done with Tremaine Edmunds. So yeah. I think Edmunds is going to have one final shot. This isn't like he has no opportunity to earn future value, right? Because what if he has a good year, hits the open market, signs a nice like $15 million a year contract with a linebacker needy team that says the guy's only 25, maybe his best years are ahead of him. We can get more out of Tremaine Edmunds than the Bills did. You
know something I think about with Tremaine and Milano for that perspective, just because they're on the same team, but they play in front of two pretty greedy safeties. You know, Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, who are both probably safety ones last year. Micah Hyde was the big play safety. Micah Hyde played really well. We kept going on throughout the year, our recap sodes after the games, and Micah Hyde performed again, and he was a top 10 again. And again, you kept thinking he was going to regress, and he never did. And then Jordan Poyer did just what Jordan Poyer always does, and just puts out that top 12 safety season for you. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I'm kind of staying away from Tremaine and Milano where their ADP is this year probably. Just doesn't do it for me. We know what we know at this point.
Yeah, I think this is less about, like, how are we viewing these guys? Do we want them on our rosters? And more just like, hey, this is arrow up. Yeah. Like, stock up, stock down. I think it's fair to point out that Tremaine Edmunds has one more chance on the fifth-year option. There's not a Devin Lloyd. There's not a Kobe Dean. There's not a Quay Walker that is going to come in and give him serious competition alongside Matt Milano. So Tremaine Edmunds, our first winner. Now, Bobo, let's just kind of switch it up here. Rather than just ending with like 8 straight losers, let's jump down and alternate here. So the first loser from our list is Chaisson. Talk about another IDP asset that has been disappointing for your rosters. At a 39% snap count last year, averaged only 4 points per game, including 2.5 points per game in his last 3 games. He was in the back end of the rotation last year, Bobo, not even clearing 400 snaps across the season. He performed below average, grading 47 overall PFF grade. So here's the reason why. The Chaisson experiment is finished opposite Josh Allen because they brought in, number 1, overall pick, Trayvon Walker. Now, he will maybe need some time.
Yeah.
To develop for your IDP rosters. Yep. I think it is curtains, though, for Chaisson's playing time, which was already sagging 39% of the snaps. That could go down to, the single digits, 10%, 15%, because I think Walker, even if he needs time to develop, this team's going to put him out there every opportunity they have.
Chaisson's a drop. You can't. He has no trade value.
He's not rosterable at this point.
I agree. It sucks. I can't believe he even got to 4 points per game. That sounds honestly like a lot more than I really thought he did last year. 1 sack on the year. And honestly, he had nothing but opportunity. It was him and Josh Allen. There was really nobody else of note there in Jacksonville other than, like I said, him and Josh Allen. Those were the only 2 guys that they had a ton of opportunity. Josh Allen had a pretty decent year. He was still a top 12 D end, but yeah, Chaisson, move on. Don't even try to trade him. I don't think anybody's going to be interested. I don't even feel like he's worth grabbing as like somebody you hold on to. I think
nope.
Time's passed.
Just cut your losses and move on. So let's move back to the positive side of things, Bobo, and this is a guy I know you're very excited about. Who is our next winner from the AFC?
Yeah, next winner is Odafe, defensive lineman there for the Baltimore Ravens. He had a really good year, 49 pressures. He did have 5 sacks. He had a 14.8 pass rush win rate. He had a 67.9 overall PFF grade and a 64.5 pass rush grade, and that was on 65% of the snaps. He averaged 8.7 points per game. So, Josh, I'm in love with Owe. I really think there is nothing but upside there for him in Baltimore. But I'd be interested to see somebody who, I've definitely got the rose-colored glasses on. I definitely see Owe definitely in a different light. How do you value Owe right now? I know everybody really loves Jalen Phillips. I know, I don't know if we'll talk about Ojulari tonight or not. But Owe is one that's kind of hanging around as like a sneaky little dart throw with still a higher ceiling to me.
Yeah, I think the point that Arn was trying to paint here is that the surrounding talent, which was depleted, shall we say, last year in Baltimore, especially in that secondary, because you see a pretty good correlation between good coverage and sacks and vice versa. Strong pass rush helps DBs, and great coverage helps pass rushers. If the DBs hold up in coverage and the quarterback has to sit there and hold the ball, they open themselves up to more sacks. The Baltimore Ravens decimated by injuries last year on both sides of the ball. They lost both of their top cornerbacks. But you look at the draft haul they brought in. Travis Jones, David Ojabo, who could potentially play in 2022. Even if he doesn't, that's a great running mate for Odafe Owe moving forward. Then you get Marcus Peters back. You get Marlon Humphrey back.
Justin Madubuike.
Yeah, Justin Madubuike, a Nate Tice favorite. And then you get Kyle Hamilton coming in alongside of Chuck Clark. I just think this defense overall is going to take a significant step forward. Now, we're assuming health. We always have to assume health, I think, in these situations. But I love how his situation has improved. I think there are very few IDPs, especially at the position Owe plays, that you could say have had a better offseason in terms of like stock up based on really nothing that they did, right? It wasn't like Odafe Owe changed teams or is inheriting a ton of opportunity because the guy in front of him left. It's more about the rising tide of the Baltimore Ravens defense is going to lift all boats. So I love this. I think it's a serious arrow up situation for Odafe Owe. He's in the mix right now. I still think it's Jalen Phillips from that 2021 edge class as the number one guy for me. Kwity Paye and Odafe Owe are right there battling it out for that number 2 spot.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, Owe should be fun. Owe just has that look to me. You know, sometimes you got to kind of get away from the actual stats and you got to get away from the numbers and everything and just watch the dude play football. And to me, he definitely passes the eye test.
So let's move to a Baltimore Ravens player that is a loser from the draft fallout, Chuck Clark. Now, if you ask Mike Wohlert, Chuck Clark's going to be fine. He's the play caller. He was the green dot, and Jim Harbaugh is not going to toss that aside. While I don't know that I agree, I do think they drafted Kyle Hamilton to play immediately. We've been down this road before of expecting rookies, even highly touted rookies, to step right in to a dominant role in a lot of snaps. So I'm not betting against Chuck Clark. The guy played 100% of snaps last year. 80 total tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 3 INTs, a sack, and 12 pass breakups. Graded fine, 66.2 overall, 72.5 in run defense. Averaged 10.6 points per game, but 19.4 points per game in his last 3 games. So, again, as Arn points out here, it's weird to say that a guy who played 100% of his team's snaps last season at a decent level, again, not great, but not terrible either, is a loser. But I agree with Arn's assessment that Clark is the odd man out in Baltimore. They drafted a Hamilton. This guy's been called a Derwin James level prospect. And they also shelled out $70 million for Marcus Williams. So where does Chuck Clark fit into this equation, Bobo? I think barring a catastrophic injury, does he see 70% of the snaps, 60, 50? That's such a wild card now. Even if you do feel confident that it's going to be Chuck Clark, they're not going to keep Hamilton on the bench, so it has to be an arrow down situation for Chuck Clark.
I kind of see this differently than Aaron here. He says it feels weird saying that a player who has played all 100% of his team snaps last season at a decent level is a loser. Essentially what that is saying right there is that's Chuck Clark's ceiling. He had no relevance at linebacker ahead of him. Pat Queen played horribly. Malik Harrison was non-existent. I don't know who else they had. LJ Fort. They were all terrible. Deshaun Elliott was awful as well there at safety. I think that was the year for Chuck Clark to show that was that was anything. If you're going to be a safety one, that was the year to show it. So I don't think you're going to see anything like that from Chuck Clark again. I hate to be the negative Nelly there, but after watching a little bit of Kyle Hamilton tape again today, good God, if either of these guys, let's just say they both play together. Let's say one of them's free safety. Let's play one of them in the box. You're going to play the one that's 6'4", 220 in the box, right?
Yes.
You're probably not going to play.
And they just played Marcus Williams $70 million. Yeah. That guy's not going off the field. And they just drafted Kyle Hamilton with the 14th overall pick. Yeah. So tell me, just process of elimination, the moves the Ravens have made, what are they telling us with their money, Bobo?
Yeah. And even the year before, Chuck Clark was not great. I mean, I don't know. For me personally, I kept thinking, all right, here it's going to come around. Here it comes, 2021 came around. Okay. That last year, 2020 didn't work out. Pat Queen was weird. Here comes the year for Chuck Clark. This is going to be the year.
This is it.
Really? 80 total tackles? That was the year? Okay. Let's move on from Chuck Clark. As a group, can we move on?
Now, there is an argument to be made that the Ravens are telling us they want to run more 3 safety looks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I tend to go with the history of what the team has done rather than projecting some big radical scheme change.
Yeah. And let's look at the teams in that division. You know, Cincinnati is going to throw the ball. I could see that being a very real possibility playing against the Bengals. Pittsburgh, I see is really going to be a run team this year. You really going to let Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett just
sling it?
Yeah, let it rip. And then you have Deshaun Watson and the Browns, who, you know, we're going to have to get past, at least for myself mentally, the whole off the field type situation, and let's talk about Deshaun on the field. Deshaun's going to play football in 2022.
He's going to raise the water level for that offense,
and he's going to be a very good quarterback, regardless of what you think about Deshaun. I don't care about that. I want to get past that. Deshaun's going to play football for the Browns. He's going to be really, really good, and their offense is going to be a top 10 team.
Did you see where they gave the Browns like no primetime games?
Oh yeah. Love that.
Probably because they don't want the talking points for like, you know, an hour of coverage to be about what's going on. Meeting with the NFL this week, we should mention, in Texas. So we could have resolution on the Deshaun Watson front very soon.
What's your take? You think he gets suspended at all?
I think he gets an 8-game suspension that's knocked down to 6 games on appeal.
Wow.
That's my prediction.
Wow.
So,
and the Browns take that.
Yeah, I mean,
you got your franchise quarterback.
There's a reason they knocked his salary, his cap hit down to $1 million this year. Yeah. So if he does get suspended, it's not a big hit out of his pocketbook. If you want something that'll make you laugh, go look at Nate Tice's timeline where he screenshotted the dead money for Deshaun Watson's contract. About $219 million in dead cap for this year if they were to cut him, which they never would, of course.
It'd just be hilarious.
Unless he went out and like committed murder or something. They're not going to cut this guy. But even knowing that, like Nate said, it still doesn't prepare you to see $200 million in dead cap.
And I teeter too much listening to too many podcasts outside of the fantasy world. But I need to myself get more entrenched into the actual, and that's what I'm trying to do with Deshaun here. I'm trying to put, pen to paper here. What do I really see for Deshaun and his receivers and his running backs, and what is that Browns team going to look like? Because whatever you think about Deshaun, the Browns are still going to play football, and
they're still going to play him.
It's going to be interesting.
They're paying him, what, $230-something million guaranteed?
Yeah, he didn't go there not to play.
Yeah, so let's move back to the winners now and keep it in Jacksonville. Josh Allen.
Yeah.
We talked about Chaisson being a loser because of the Trayvon Walker pick, but you have to love the upgrade in situation similar to Odafe Owe. Josh Allen getting a big bump here. Played 73% of the snaps last year, 50 pressures, 7.5 sacks, 13.4 points per game. This was the season we were waiting for from Josh Allen. Took a massive leap forward in his third year, not only in playing time, but quality of play, graded at a 78.5 overall, all while facing multiple blockers. This is great, on 24.6% of his pass rush attempts. Now, we mentioned this, Bobo. Walker, he's raw, he's unpolished, but he should garner attention. That is a big man that offensive linemen are going to have coming at him. Does he play over Dwayne Smoot? We'll see. But he is going to be an upgrade over the Jihad Ward, Chaisson combo.
Yeah.
This should hopefully free up Josh Allen to take on a single blocker on a few more of those pure pass rush attempts. Even if Trayvon Walker is not great, not polished year one, Bobo, that should drop that 24.6% number down a little bit, which is only going to help Josh Allen make those big plays.
Let's go back in time, Josh. You go back with me?
Let's do it.
2019. You know how many sacks Josh Allen had in 2019?
No, I do not.
He was a rookie. This was his rookie season. He had 10.5 sacks.
10.5. Wow, that's more than I thought.
You know who he played with in 2019?
Was Fowler still there?
I don't know if Fowler was, but I know I don't think he was. Calais Campbell.
Calais Campbell was still there. Okay.
Also, Yannick Ngakoue.
Oh, that's who it was. I was thinking of Ngakoue.
What I'm getting at is he had help. You know what he didn't have in 2021? Help. He had no help.
He's not even a coach.
He's playing by himself. And you know what he was in RSO in 2021? He was a DN4 behind Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett, Cameron Jordan. Ever heard of him?
Was Cameron Jordan really that high?
He was a DN3.
Wow. I think because he finished the year so strong, right?
229 points to Josh Allen's 219. Nick Bosa had 262 points. So what I'm getting at is if Josh Allen was the DN4 last year with Kayvon Chaisson and Jihad Ward, surely to God, Kayla Walker will be an upgrade for him.
It has to be an upgrade, right?
Yeah, is he easy to buy right now? Not for me. Don't come asking me. But I mean, in a standard league,
I think Josh Allen's always been easy to acquire.
Yeah,
I think he gets slept on tremendously.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's Jacksonville, just like Detroit with the offensive stink. There's always been Jacksonville stink all over these guys.
Agree.
And what does the upgrade at linebacker do? I don't know the correlation. I haven't dug into the data to see like they've got 3 awesome linebackers there now.
Yep, you paid Foye a ton.
Yeah. Even if Foyer's not the best in terms of like quality of play, the dude's going to vacuum up tackles. And now you've got Devin Lloyd, who's great at rushing the passer. You've got Chad Muma, who's kind of the Foyer clone in terms of like a tackle machine.
That is one thing that I don't care for about PFF stats. You know, I know Jordan Brooks was not great last year. I know Foyer was not great yet last year. They still almost had 200 tackles.
Yep.
You know, they might be bad in coverage. They might be bad in other statistics as far as rushing the passer. But man, putting up 200 tackles in a year. And you're exactly right, Josh. You're putting 3 pretty damn good linebackers behind Josh Allen. Oh, wow. I'm excited.
We'll see how it goes. But we need to keep it in Jacksonville. Look, this team added a lot of defensive pieces, so there's going to be some winners and losers shaking out. And we keep it in Jacksonville. Chad Muma. Now, it may feel weird for a player with this draft capital to come out a loser, but I think if you listen to the episode with John and Kyle B, this was really worst case scenario for Chad Muma.
Yeah.
Because there is not an out in Foye Oluokun's contract until the 2024 season. So 2022, 2023, barring injury, Foye Oluokun's going to be there. And he's going to be on the field. That's what they paid him to do. So, assuming health, I don't see Chad Muma having a significant role for your team, at least for the first 2 years of his career. I think you're just going to have to stash him on your taxi squad. Now, what I will say, the optimism around Muma is he is an immediate, we talk about handcuff. He is an immediate handcuff for immediate step in, fill in for Foye Oluokun.
Yep.
If he were to get injured, moves right into one of the most profitable roles for IDP. So I think that's where you can have some optimism.
I get it. I understand that the way the draft works out, it looks like Muma is the one who falls here. And logic would tell you they're going to play the guy who they just paid in Foye. But maybe it doesn't take that long for Muma. Muma really reminds me not only of the college that he came out of, but also the player that he reminds me of in Logan Wilson. And if you watch Logan Wilson play at all, I mean, to me, I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that Logan Wilson is a top 5 linebacker this year. I don't know. I'm more optimistic about stashing Muma at this point. Jacksonville is so far from figuring anything out. Let's not pin anything in. You know, let's use a pencil. We might need to use an eraser from time to time. I'm okay still grabbing Muma. I understand the public perception is going to be that he's a loser, but Muma's one that I don't mind holding on to for a little while.
I think if I can get Muma in the 4th round.
Okay.
I'm not just looking at the guys that are available in the 3rd.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to spend that capital there to get Muma.
When you could get a Channing Tindall.
Exactly. I would much rather have a Channing Tindall because I think his path to the LB1 for the Dolphins is much cleaner. Yeah. Now, we'll say Sam took Chad Muma at the 506 in our rookie draft. Give me that all day.
And especially in leagues where you have an IR or you have a taxi or you have somewhere that you can stash these people where they're not on your quote-unquote active roster. Muma's a dream in that perspective.
If I don't have a taxi squad, if I just have an IR and I've got to hold those IR spots and those guys count against, my actual like roster, my 54-man roster, so to speak, with 9 IR spots like in our league.
Yeah.
I just don't know that I want to have
for multiple years.
Exactly. Have to like take up one of those, because in our contract league, those are valuable IR spots because they wipe out half the salary.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I necessarily want to burn one of those super valuable IR spots for 2 years, and then you can't bring the guy off IR.
But Muma was a third. You know, he's a third-round draft pick.
It depends on price. I'm not saying I want Muma at all. I just don't want Muma in the third. In the fourth, I'm thinking about it. In the fifth, I am smashing that button.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? And I know it shouldn't. It kind of reminds me of Arizona last year, to where Jordan Hicks was there, and then Isaiah Simmons was there, and then Zaven Collins was there. And really, Hicks was the one that you wanted. But in a 3 LB set, it's kind of the same as like you were talking about with the 49ers and Dre Greenlaw and Alshire. Man, do you really want to put your eggs in any of those baskets? It's just, you know, you can get burned. The team decides to do something different than what, you know, us IDP idiots think they should. I don't know, though. Muma's the one where it's like, I think his talent for me, I'm going to hold him for a little while, and if they don't play him, I'll figure something out. But, man, he's just so talented.
I think you just have to plan on stashing him, because that's the other thing, too. If you have a taxi squad, you can pull these guys up to your active roster. If he goes on IR and you have rules like in our league, you can't pull that guy back up.
Yeah.
If you just put him on there and he's not actually on IR, right?
Yeah.
So if you're just stashing him on your IR, I don't know that I want to do that. The dude is good, and I think it's a worthwhile exercise, right, to lay out all the assumptions that us in the IDP dynasty landscape have about certain teams and certain situations, and ask yourself, what are the chances that we're wrong about this, right? Challenge those kind of inherent assumptions, go against the grain, not to be like stand out and plant your flag and draw attention to yourself for something stupid, but just as a thought exercise, because every year there are things that seemed inevitable. Zaven Collins, right? I just keep going back to this. Like we all had the wool pulled over our eyes with Zaven Collins. So that taught me, like, don't be afraid to question your assumptions. Now, I tend to look at this on a continuum, on a spectrum. How likely is it that we are wrong?
Yeah. That
Devin Lloyd and Foye Oluokun are the 2 linebackers to roster in Jacksonville for 2022?
Yeah.
I think the chance that Chad Muma is actually the guy you want, I put that at like a 5% chance, 10% chance. Yeah. Like, I just think it is such a minuscule chance that I'm not going to significantly invest in that possibility across any of my leagues.
And he's a linebacker.
That's right.
He's not a D end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, all right, another linebacker here, but switching back to the winner side. Arrow up for another embattled linebacker, this time because we see a new defensive scheme. Again, talent coming around this player. Travis Jones, Kyle Hamilton, Patrick Queen, Bobo. We may not like it, but the Ravens did not spend one of those picks to take a Patrick Queen replacement, 76% of snaps, 9.8 points per game. Now, this comes down to a question of how much rope does Patrick Queen have left in the eyes of the IDP dynasty community? I'm not going to sit here and make the case that you should draft Patrick Queen as your LB1 in a dynasty startup.
Yeah.
LB2 in a dynasty startup. LB3 or 4, okay. Sure. Right? But with this exercise of post-draft winners and losers, the fact that the Ravens did not take a linebacker high in the draft is good news for Patrick Queen. But, Bobo, you could make the case that Kyle Hamilton is the Patrick Queen replacement.
Yeah. Everybody do yourself a favor and just watch some Kyle Hamilton tape tomorrow. Just turn off the IDP show. Just get yourself a little 5-minute indulgence in the old YouTube world. And you'll realize kind of where we're coming from with Kyle Hamilton. But I will say about Pat Queen, he is still only 22 years old. Is he the next Tremaine Edmunds, the one that we're just kind of willing and hoping and, praying that he turns it around to that true LB1 type performance? I think Josh is right. I don't think that that's a reliable outcome for Pat Queen. Could he be an LB2? I think he really could be. In what a lot of people are pegging as a pretty negative year for Pat Queen in 2021, he still averaged 9.8 points per game. Say what you want to about that. It's not TJ Watt. You know, it's not Darius Leonard. But if you can average almost 10 points per game as a linebacker on one of my teams, I can probably find a spot for you. You know, if you're playing some of these deeper leagues, Pat Queen has a pretty negative persona behind his name right now. Everybody kind of wants to crap on him, on Isaiah Simmons, on Zaven Collins, on some of these 2- and 3-year guys that might be quote-unquote not working out. I guarantee you that Pat Queen is very attainable right now in many of your IDP leagues for probably not a lot. I mean, what would somebody move Pat Queen for right now? Maybe a 4th or a 3rd?
I mean, my mind went, to like a 4th, like a late 2023 pick.
Dude, I'm doing that all day long. All day long. It's either do something like that or grab I had some fun 4th rounders this year, some of these random little running backs, and I guarantee you 2 of these 3 running backs are not going to work out at all. Man, I would much rather bank on the Baltimore Raven that played the most amount of snaps behind Chuck Clark. Chuck Clark played 100% of the snaps last year. The next highest percentage player snap count was actually Pat Queen. So
he lost the kind of the main linebacker role there to Josh Bynes, which is not great.
Yeah. Became
more of a part-time player. But then they started to kind of weave him back in a different role, and he really profited from that.
And let's think about this too, exactly what Wohlert was saying. You know, you have a 21-year-old last year who's the green dot for an NFL franchise who doesn't understand anything.
That's hard.
You know, so you remove that from the guy, put that on Chuck Clark, who is 27 years old, a little bit more established in the defense, and put Pat Queen in a little bit different, a different role in the defense, and not having to call the plays and understand everything. And Queen finished the year out pretty good. Week 10, 20 points. Week 11, 10. Week 12, 19 points. Then 7, then 2 stinkers. But then week 15, 15 points, 15 points. And then I don't think they played much there towards the end of the year. He had 2 points and 3 points to finish you out. Pat Queen is a guy that I'm willing to throw a dart on. I might have to send me a couple offers tomorrow, Josh.
Well,
what about this one? Pat Queen or Zaven Collins?
Definitely Zaven Collins.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
for sure. Because
nor Jordan Hicks.
Because I think it's arrow up for Zaven Collins this season, whereas the arrow has generally been trending down in this small little window of time we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's the arrow's like slightly, like it's like been steadily going down. You've got a little uptick, right?
I gotcha.
So maybe Pat Queen, the luster's not back on like it was early in his career. But I think right now it's a sunny outlook.
Let me talk about this next one, Josh, because I think it hit home for you a little bit. As a draft loser, I'm really interested to hear your take here.
This does hurt.
Aaron, this one's rough. So Khari Willis, the safety there for the Indianapolis Colts.
I think they trade back into the 3rd to take Nick Cross, who's a Khari Willis replacement.
That trade up is that's a telltale sign.
It's indicative, man.
Yeah.
Guys, teams will only trade up if they have a specific player in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that they traded back into the 3rd, moved future draft capital to get back into the 3rd round
to grab a replacement for you,
tells me that they are drafting kind of like the Ravens, who are very good about drafting replacements ahead of time, a year or 2 early, getting them on the field as rookies, developing them, letting them go hit the open market, getting a comp pick, and doing it all over again. Mm-hmm. The Colts draft, I think, in the same way. They are looking and saying, okay, where do we see, right? Mm-hmm. We've got Matt Pryor now, left tackle. He's fine, but let's go grab a Bernard Raymond, who somehow dropped into the 3rd round, and let's have him as our left tackle, if not right away, probably for 2023. Let's move to our final losers for the post-draft look at the AFC landscape, and we're going to the Super Bowl runner-ups in the Cincinnati Bengals, Von Bell, Jesse Bates. This situation has changed even since Aaron wrote up these notes, as we mentioned. Jesse Bates, little bit unhappy with the franchise tag situation, says he will not report to minicamp or OTAs, will not report to training camp, does not plan to sign that franchise tag. So unless they can work out a long-term deal, I'm kind of wondering if Jesse Bates could be a holdout potential for 2022.
You know what? I've heard a lot out of the Bengals camp is there's a lot of people saying, you know what? Let him go.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I feel like there's a lot of people team Bell. And then with the rookie that they have drafted as well in Dax Hill.
That's right.
There's a lot of hype out of him. Jesse Bates getting paid a lot. And Von Bell, I thought, played better last year. You know, Bell here, 97 total tackles, 5 TFL, 1 interception, a half sack, and 8 pass breakups, while Bates had 88 total tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 1 interception, 1 fumble recovery, and 4 pass breakups. Now, they do play a little bit of a different role. I think they are, you know, they're their own safeties in their own right. So I don't want to peg them as the same type of person, but
they both played pretty similarly though. 95% of snaps for both of them.
Yeah.
11.2 points per game for Bell and 9.8 for Jesse Bates. So
Bell 12.17 in his last 3 games, while Bates went 6.5 in the last 3 games.
That's right. So even though they do play distinct roles, one of those kind of unicorn teams where both safety roles are profitable for IDP.
Yeah, so Bell, I think in most leagues was just right outside of safety 1 category. And I think, honestly, Jesse Bates was right outside of DB safety 2 category. I think he was really about a safety 3. I'm Team Bell, for sure.
Your Team Bell now?
Team Bell.
You acquired
David Bell and Von Bell.
Graham Bell. Need to get him thrown in the trade as well.
That's right.
So yeah, I wanted to see here for our RSO league how those 2 guys ended up for 2021. So it looks like Bell was down there.
Yeah, Bell was right outside of safety 1, and Bates was really right outside of safety 2. He's about safety 26, 27 type category.
Yeah, so Von Bell was safety 17.
Okay,
and
go higher.
Then it looks like Bates was down at safety 29.
Yeah.
So
wow,
like a mid-tier safety 2 for Von Bell, and then just a very high-end safety 3 for Jesse Bates.
And honestly, I think people's ADP of Jesse Bates is higher than Bell.
Yep.
Don't you feel like that?
So is it maybe Bates?
I mean, Bates is younger. He's a couple years younger than Bell.
Who is the trapdoor under most likely if you had to pick one of these 2 guys?
Oh, for sure, Bates.
That Dax Hill's going to pop up out of the floor as soon as this guy goes in. You think it's Bates that gets pulled under?
I think so, just because I think Bell's a better player.
Yeah, and Bell's in the last year of his deal. Bates is on the franchise tag.
Mm-hmm.
So with this news, it's like if the Bengals get a long-term deal done with Jesse Bates,
mm-hmm.
which we'll see how that pans out. Mm-hmm. But if they do get the long-term deal done, that changes the equation for me.
Mm-hmm.
But do they re-sign Von Bell? This Dax Hill pick tells me that one of these 2 guys, or both, probably not going to be there in 2023. So I think until we get a little more clarity on what the Bengals' plans are for these guys moving forward, they're both losers in my opinion.
Jon Macri did get in my DMs today about my Bell deal. As good as long as he's a Bengal, and I think John is reading the same tea leaves that we are. That you know, Hill is questionable for one of these guys. We're just not quite sure who it's going to be yet.
That's right. So honorable mention here. We would be remiss if we did not get this joke in from Arn, as confirmed by critically acclaimed IDP analyst from Pro Football Reference, Jon Macri. Steve Spagnuolo hates IDP, Bobo. Your team, my team, he does not care. I bet he only plays 8 teams, single QB, standard scoring with 2 wide receivers, no flex, and 5 bench spots. This man is a monster, and IDP to the Kansas City linebackers. I don't care if you're a Willie Gay stan, Nick Bolton stan, or a Leo Chanel stan.
Yeah.
This situation, you talk about muddy.
Yeah.
These guys are just like a pig in mud right now.
I'm Team Hitchens, Josh.
Team Hitchens. I'm Team. Who was the other guy that was there that was awful?
They were all bad.
Ben Neiman.
There you go.
I'm Team Neiman. I don't even know if Ben Neiman's on the team anymore. I don't think he is.
We don't care.
But yeah, that's just an awful, gross situation. I hate that Leo Chanel got pulled into that. But it is what it is. We knew it was going to be somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody was going to get pulled into this vortex.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, Nick Bolton's a name that I'm seeing a lot of people float on Twitter is like pounding their chest for this guy. I'm like, yeah, man, he had a nice looking, end of the year finish. Dude played like 60% of snaps.
Which is weird too, because I thought when they brought Willie Gay back, they looked a lot better. When Gay got healthy and actually was playing, and I actually saw a tweet the other day that said, "Hey, Spagnola, can we actually not be either the bottom team as far as defense is ranked or the top team? Can we just be like somewhere in the middle? That would be great for the 2022 season. Let's not be the top. Let's not be the bottom. Let's find a little middle ground."
Let's find a middle ground. Middle ground, Nick Bolton, 55.76% of snaps.
Wow.
Hitchens, 53.44. Ben Neiman, 49.78. If this isn't proving the point that this Chiefs linebacker role can be profitable, this is a best ball situation. If you want to just load up on the Chiefs linebackers and best ball and like a deep, like 40-round best ball draft, go for it.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the perfect scenario where it's like, I don't want to figure this out, but I know this role can be good for IDP.
Man, the Chiefs are kind of getting to the point to where it's like, man, outside of Chris Jones, do you want any of these guys? I mean L'Jarius Sneed's fun because he's kind of free, but outside of that, I mean, they play a ton of safeties. These linebackers are super rotational.
I can't think of another team where I'm just avoiding the linebackers at all costs.
New England, I have avoided Jaquan Bentley.
Yep.
I do like Matt Judon. He's more of an edge, but what a mess that is there now as well. I had that discussion with somebody the other day about now you've got Duggar, you've got Adrian Phillips, and now you've got Jabril Peppers. Oh, my gosh. Y'all have fun figuring that out.
Yeah,
I will not
luck.
be partaking in that.
The New England defense has become even more of a quagmire for IDP.
Yeah.
So,
like our good friend of the show, Greg Rosenthal says, just go draft Christian Barmore.
There you go. That's the one
Great
IDP.
friend. I know you're listening, Greg.
You've thrown out a lot of friends of the show.
Love you, Greg. Best friends.
So, friend of the show. Everyone that listens to this is a friend of the show.
Yeah,
we thank you. We thank you for tuning in. It's May 17th. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. Mm-hmm. We appreciate that, Bobo.
Yeah, you could be delivering Adam's baby.
That's right.
You could have been his greenskeeper today at the golf course where he probably played.
We know Adam was on the golf course, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
That baby's out, good, healthy. Mom, you good?
Mama's
cool.
catching a nap.
I got a tea time here.
Baby's off in the, NICU getting some love from the nurses. All right, I'm out of here.
If anything, he's at least found a place at the hospital to chip some balls or something.
That's right. He's chipping it against like the wall of the hospital outside, like in the grass.
Exactly.
So, shout out, Addie. We love you, hon. Congratulations on baby number 2's arrival. Very excited for you guys. Very excited for our listeners as well, Bobo. We got some good stuff coming up in the feed. Next week, we'll be talking winners and losers from the NFC as well as who'd you get from our auction. We moved up our auction for the XFFL from August to May, so that's actually going to be on Sunday. So we'll be talking through our auction haul and who we got over there. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We've also got Joey the Tooth hanging out with Jon Macri from Pro Football Reference, talking about the post-draft look at the defensive linemen. You're not going to want to miss that. I always enjoy Joey and Jon getting together. And then again, folks, the IDP Draft Kit is dropping on June 1st. We are finalizing the content for that tomorrow. It is amazing. There is all sorts of goodies in there that you're going to want to check out. So, the IDPDraftKit.com, $20. Bobo, you've been looking at the stuff.
Man.
It's good stuff.
That's real good. Ranks are the best I've ever put out. Adam's ranks are insane. Kyle B's got some awesome articles. I can't wait, man. There's going to be some stuff you hadn't seen before in there.
That's right. Come check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to help you win some leagues, whether you're playing IDP for 20 years or 20 minutes, Bobo. We can all use a little help come draft time.
Hey, you don't need that four gallons of gas. What's that going to do for you?
That's
Just
right.
Get you an IDP kit.
That's right. Get you an IDP Draft Kit, folks. $20 could help you win $200. Where else are you going to get a 10x return on your investment, Bobo?
Easy. We guarantee it.
So, thank you all for listening. We appreciate it. Shout out to our patrons. Speaking of which, just quick tease, Bobo. You're going to want to make sure you're subscribed over at theidpshow.com. We've got some really cool stuff in the works for this season over there. That's where it's all going to be going down. So, Bobo, big things.
Shockwaves.
As always, theidpshow.com. Make sure you're subscribed. We got some cool stuff coming. Round about September, we're going to roll it out. But you want to be over there. We got an awesome blog post that's going to be coming out as part of this episode. So go check it out. If you like to read, if you're a nerd like me, you like to read, go subscribe, theidpshow.com. But shout out to our patrons. Shout out to our listener league participants. We love and appreciate y'all. And because we went with the throwback in Bobby, we're going to go with the throwback outro music.
Yes.
We're taking it all the way back.
Let's go.
To the big 3 days. And rather than Sugar Daisy taking us out, we're going out in Big 3 style. Y'all take care. We'll see you next week.
This is Big 3 IDP.